Hey dudes, welcome to another video. In today's video it's going to be a little bit different to what you're used to seeing, in the sense of rather than focusing on one area, we're going to be speeding through quite a lot of it, because I have a lot of things that need to be done to the XJ and they need to happen now. A couple of the guys from the group that you see me go out with from time to time, they're planning a big trip, and I want to be on that trip, but the problem is I have a lot that needs to be done. But I'm confident I can make it happen, so if it seems like we're just skipping from one job to another, that's because we're trying to get through this as quickly as possible. Obviously it's not all going to happen in a day, but it will happen, because I do not want to miss out on this trip. For the first job we have the headliner. This is coming out of the update model, so I'm going to have the update roof console. Now this was always an objective to go in, but it wasn't meant to go in right now because I got a little bit of grot on the roof and a bit of rust that I need to take care of. However, I sold the rear hatch to a young fella down here who's helping recover someone and broke his back door. And if I don't get it out of the update model, the rain's going to ruin it, so it's going to have to go in for the time being, just to avoid being ruined. One thing that was unfortunate, in mine they actually ripped out the wiring harness and absolutely destroyed it like how the front one was when I first brought it. So that would have meant that the soundbar on that didn't work. What's the fun in having a roof liner if your soundbar don't work? Lucky for me I've got another one, so I decided to solder that together with that one. So that way all our lights and speakers work perfect. That's the headliner done and sorted, and it's actually made it a little bit quieter in here. Not as much as I thought it would, but it's definitely a lot nicer. I don't have to look at the grot on the roof. But obviously it is going to have to come back out at some stage so I can have a better look at that. I have structurally tested it a little bit to make sure that it isn't just going to crumble away or anything like that. And it looks a hell of a lot worse than what it actually is. But I think it'll be alright until the weather warms up. We're not that far away from that now, but it's definitely a high priority on my to-do list. I even managed to find time to put in a decent stereo, so now I don't have to listen to what's on the radio. Thank God, because on long trips it was pretty painful. Obviously when you're travelling with a group, conversation only goes so far, and when you're about an hour and a half deep into a trip, and you're just travelling to and from, it's nice to have some tunes to actually listen to. Picked up this old Bluetooth head unit and wasn't expecting it to work because I only paid 20 bucks for it, but it came with a menu and that, and I was willing to take a risk on it for 20 bucks. Nice. Now for the one I'm really excited about. I ordered this lunchbox locker 6 weeks ago. I was told it was going to be shipped out in a week and a half to 2 weeks, which obviously didn't end up happening. It's from a local company because I try to support local where I can, especially in the difficult times we're currently facing. But due to the poor experience that I've had with them, I doubt that I'll ever use them again. I don't mind so much the long wait, that's fine. But they made no effort to contact me at all. And when I made an effort to contact them to see what was actually happening because I had nothing to go off of, no email, nothing, they became rather irritated with me and acted as though I was the problem, when all I was looking for was an ETA or something. But yeah, safe to say I won't be using them again. Whilst I already had the drive shafts out, I figured I might as well replace one, because the end part of my hub, as I think I mentioned in one of my previous videos, it got mangled when a wheel stud actually came off and sucked back through. And I'm not sure whether I showed the footage or not, I don't think I did, but here's what it actually sounded like.
Oh crap.
Yeah, that's what it was like the whole time, since it did it all the way around.
Take one off that other car.
Now that is not what you want.
That one's gone. Oh no, it's not. It's just...
Yeah, the other one's pretty flush. It's this top one that's going to be the biggest problem.
Try backing it out and test it. Or...
We've got them, we might as well be safe.
Yeah.
It's not like you got to drive a couple kilometres to get them.
Your receipts in there too.
Yeah.
Like I said, they want all the specs written on the instructions, but so I didn't bother. Pretty. Ooh.
The goods. All the goods.
These are the main parts you want. So you put the shims on them. A little bit of grease will stop them from falling off. That box won't fly away. Yep. Ooh. Now you put the top ones in, this side in too, and push the pin back in. Where's the instructions for yours?
Didn't come on it, I don't think. the receipt was just jammed in the box. So it's probably jammed in there with them.
Ah, so yours doesn't...
Oh, they're a hell dodgy company. I'd never deal with them again, ever.
Nah.
They're the worst company I've ever dealt with. And they got angry at me for getting mad at them for not communicating with me. It's like, of course I'm going to be pissed off. I gave you half my paycheck.
Yep, look at that. Same mine. Down to a 0.6. Now just make sure you line them up. It probably won't sit all the way home until you put the... Yeah, if you want to flip it up all the way.
I was pretty close. I only took a guess just throwing it on there. I wasn't far off.
Well, would it just be nice for them to let you know what's happening? But
that's what I said. I
they
would have
took
been
your
fine
money
with
and
it.
then not
Didn't say a
send you
thing.
anything for, what, 2 weeks?
Like, it's bad enough if you send someone an email saying it, like, no, you don't have the decency to ring them, but they didn't know how you can do that. They just completely ignored me. And then when I did message them, they proceeded to ignore me.
Just a message to say, oh, we've got to get a stock of it. It'll be a bit delayed. Because it does say on their website that they can take up to 2 weeks to get them if they don't have one.
Yeah, not 2 months.
But they could have at least sent you an email to say, hey, we don't have it. It'll take a bit longer.
You want to hold that for a second?
Yeah. There. There. Yep. We're just about... Yep, that's it. You're turning it. Cool. See what I mean? It's a bitch.
Yeah, that's why I knew that casing was what was holding it out. I was just hoping it would pop back in once we were
once you're
pushing on it.
Once you close to the teeth, you can kind of turn it and they kind of pull each other together, so...
Another thing that I also ordered, and lucky I did because mine were absolutely cactus, is tube seals. Now there's a lot of debate saying whether these are actually any good or whether they're not, but considering mine are already shattered and all they are is like a little plastic thing on the end of your drive shaft that stops crap getting up in your tubes, I figured I might as well replace them. Worst case scenario is they leak. My factory ones leak anyway, what difference is it going to make to me?
Shouldn't rust.
Not gonna lie, when I put all that new stuff on in front of mine, I took photos. Just to remember.
What it used to be like?
What it used to be like new.
Which way would be the
shine.
most convenient to put this? The caliper would be in the way on that
Front,
side.
wouldn't it?
Put it up on an angle here so you can still see this.
Yeah, so it's not pointing directly at the dump.
Now the next job is vents. And no, I don't mean the near $300 set that you can buy for the XJ, we ain't that fancy around here. We're just going to be going with some hardware ones that we picked up for, I think they were like $30 each, and we're going to paint them gunmetal grey, because we're not aiming for perfection around here. The most important things to me is that it's adequate, it's effective, and you had fun doing it. Worst case scenario is I have 3 bonnets. Now that that's sorted, hopefully it'll let a bit of heat out of there, because obviously XJs suffer from heat. Mine is no exception from it. We've already ditched the thermostat and that helps significantly, but having these extra vents here will help let the heat out, because one of the biggest problems is the heater has nowhere to go. It just gets trapped in there, and when you're sucking more hot air out of the radiator with the fans, that's when you start getting into the issues of heat soak. So hopefully now we've given it somewhere to go, that'll help a little bit. At some stage during this, I managed to fit my little micro UHF up in the roof console. I decided to just cut this screen out here and remove what was behind it, because it didn't work in mine anyway, and it was at a nice convenient height for the UHF, so it seemed like a pretty good choice to me. Now the last big task that I have to do. As you would have seen, I put that plastic smart bar on the front just to tidy up the XJ a little bit, but one of the biggest drawbacks on it is it's not winch compatible, and nor do I really wish to go through the effort of making it winch compatible. And XJ bars cost an absolute fortune, especially if you do want a winch compatible one. And when I started this, I did say that I was going to try to do as much of it as I was comfortable doing myself. So you guessed it, yep, we're going to have a crack at making a bar ourselves. We're not going for perfection, yet again, as I said, we're just going for adequate. As long as it's functional and it looks half decent, I'm not too bothered. If I can score some extra ground clearance, then all the better for it. We're going to start by just mounting up the cradle, and we're going to go from there. We're going to stick everything together to the point where it actually holds, and then we're going to take it all off at the end and finish it all. But for the main part, it's trying to brace all of this because they're notorious for being pretty weak. The unibody system is definitely not one you should be pulling off lightly, shall we say. Now I'm already using the tie-in points for the unibody, and I'm using some mounts that are slightly thicker than the factory ones, and of course they go back behind the steering box and stuff like that, so they are actually tied in quite far back. But I also want to add a bar from one side to the other just so it's spreading the load a little bit more, and then as we'll go we'll reinforce as needed. What I'm thinking is I might build a little bit of a box up on the end here, something like this. Something like that, and then we can put the wings around the side. Obviously not with a mangled piece that I've already cut into or anything. Need to figure out a way to drop it down a little bit. Apparently. This is where we're at the moment. I was going to put circle hoops or tube bar around the sides, but I think I'm going to go with the wing design. Cut it out on cardboard, so it should look something like this. I'm just not sure whether I want to have it straight or whether I want to lean it out more. I think I want to go with it like straight. Something like that. And I'll have plenty of room to cut it off a bit if I need to. Now here's the ground clearance we now have. And here's a side by side with the ground clearance we did have for comparison. So we have gained quite a bit of ground clearance there. Now the bar is only painted in a base colour. This is not the final product. I've left it so I can grind it back and add stuff as I see fit, assuming it stays attached, that is. But eventually it'll have all the light mounts on it, the winch, and then it'll be Raptor coated obviously, because I'm going to do the whole thing in Raptor including the bar work. But for now this is the best as it's going to get. We're on a deadline and we need to make it. And then disaster strikes. So, on top of everything else that I've been trying to get done to make this trip, lo and behold, I go and ruin a uni joint. So now I gotta rush all the way back out, hope it stays in there for the time being, try to change that out, and hope that the shaft on my other ones are the same. But into it, we will make this deadline and we will be on this trip. I'll try everything in my power to make sure that happens. It's like no movement there, really.
But as soon as it gets
You roll it to...
But it shouldn't have up and down movement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not side to side.
But you got to turn it to the points.
And then it does have like all movement there.
I think I found the problem, boys. Don't know. What do you reckon? Let's try to turn it and it should move. Never mind. Looks like it's sitting out here. That's got to be it, surely. What are the chances that it works? Have a look on the highway. Here we go. Go have a look. It's gone. That seems to have got it. There is a little bit of vibration there still, but I'm pretty sure that was there anyway because XJ life. But that really aggressive vibration is gone now. We're back on the road, boys. So there you go. The uni joint that was actually bad, it did need to be replaced sooner or later, but that wasn't what was actually causing it. It was the one that looked fine. And you can see that it had got hot. Like when we pulled it out, it was really, really burnt looking and it smelled like diesel. It didn't smell like grease. It smelled like, I guess it kind of smelled like burnt grease, but not that really greasy smell you usually smell. I would say that it was more like diesel. But we're good to go. The bad thing is, it's just started raining. I've still got to put my front tail shaft back in because I took it out to see if that's where it was coming from or if it was my locker that was chattering up through the front of it, which obviously it wasn't. So we've got that to go look forward to. But I might be able to just park it under my little makeshift cover that you've seen in the video before and do that because the main concern was finding out what that problem was, and I think we've made a band-aid solution. I don't think we've actually fixed whatever caused it, but it's gone and I'm comfortable taking it on the trip the way it is now. I'm happy with that. The uni joints are both replaced, and I mean, it put me out of pocket a little bit, but they're done.